So hi and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be doing a full car clean, and that is sort of a winter maintenance detail on my car. So it's not the dirtiest car in the world, I'll give you that, but for me it is not in a good way. So I've not actually cleaned the car in around sort of 2 or 3 weeks at this point. A lot of grime on it from just winter really. Just not in a good way, and it was really winding me up, so I thought, you know what, I'll take the opportunity and I'll show you how I tackle it in winter when it inevitably ends up looking like this after sort of a couple of weeks. So generally try to keep on top of it and do it weekly, but just been really busy, so this is, you'll have to forgive me why it looks this bad. So of course, starting off how I always start off my full car cleans, and that is just pressure washing everything down, trying to remove sort of the stuck on dirt. A little bit of success with it, but generally most of the kind of grime on here was sort of just traffic film really, so your pressure wash is just not going to do that much really, and it takes more of a more thorough pre-wash to be able to handle anything else. But it's worth giving everything a good blast and seeing just really how much we can get off at this stage, and just making sure the panels are wet, as I like applying a pre-wash to wet panels rather than dry. That's just generally what I prefer. So starting off the pre-wash here with a citrus pre-wash, and that is by Valet Pro. So here it is just in the bottle. Now it says to use it 1 in 8. It's probably slightly more concentrated than that in the bottle. In this sort of spray bottle I've got, probably around maybe 1 to 6, 1 to 7. I'm not that bothered about sort of the protection underneath it, because I can just top that up. I just want to get the car clean, to be honest. So I'm also using this opportunity whilst the Valet Pro is just sitting on the car and dwelling, just to give the tyres a bit of a scrub down. So here I'm using a citrus pre-wash again, using a different one, not a diluted one here. I'm just using the Pyramid Car Care one, as I find that neat on tyres this just works so well, and it's just a quick way of doing it. I didn't want to have to mix up a new bottle of Valet Pro, and I just couldn't really be bothered, so I thought I'll grab that one while it's on the shelf. And again, just went in with the wheel arches and gave them a scrub down too. So I did 2 passes on the tyres, and they came up fine. The foam on the second pass was white, so that was all good. So the citrus pre-wash had probably been dwelling for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, probably closer to 5 really, on the panel, and I just gave it a pressure wash down to remove as much as I could. Now on the side panels there's still plenty of grime still left on there. However, you can see on the bonnet here that sort of the hydrophobic the water behaviour basically is coming back from the sealant underneath, so it is doing something there to remove it, which is encouraging. Then I wanted to just skip to the wheels and get those sorted first, as they were in pretty bad ways, particularly wheel arches and stuff like that. They just weren't looking good. So this is now my new favourite way of cleaning the wheels. So I've got an IK foamer, and I've got the wheel shampoo by Garage Therapy. So there's around sort of 10ml in 500ml of water in that IK foamer. Pump it up and spray it all over the wheels, and then I just go in with a wash mitt, which I just spray a little bit of the solution in the foamer as well, just onto the mitt, and make sure they're damp, and just onto the brush as well. And just go ahead and get as much as I can with the mitt first, try and get behind the actual spokes of the wheel. And then I just went ahead with this brush and just tried to get a bit of the corners, and just generally the bits where the mitt couldn't reach, just to give them a bit more of a thorough clean before moving on to the wheel arches. Before moving on to the wheel barrel. So here you can just see me using the same solution, so there's a little bit actually in the wheel barrel from the foamer, but I also just like to keep the brushes that I'm using topped up with that as well, just to make sure they don't dry out, and sort of reduce the risk of scratches. Once I was done with that, I just went ahead and pressure washed everything down, so just working a wheel at a time, as there was kind of some spells of sun that I had to be wary of. Then I actually follow the sort of same routine on the exhaust pipe. So I've always been quite good at keeping on top of these. I normally just clean them every time I do the wheels. I'll do them in the same kind of way, and find that it just helps so much. I don't want the exhaust pipes being quite kind of exposed to end up looking sort of pitted and grimy and covered in crap basically, so I just wanted to make sure that they were in a good way as well. So the next step was just to go on to the snow foam stage. So here I am using Wax Planet 8 Below. So this is quite a thick snow foam. Here I'm using it actually 1 in 10, which is sort of the maximum you go with this snow foam, as really I just wasn't going to take any chances with the kind of level of grime, don't want to inflict any swirls, and generally for most maintenance washes you can get away with that sort of 1 to 15, 1 to 20 kind of ratio, but just not taking any chances, giving it plenty of dwell time, giving it around 10 minutes here before pressure washing it away to just get rid of as much as possible before moving on to the contact wash to keep everything safe. And you know, again, I probably will end up claying and polishing the car come sort of springtime, just to give it a bit of a tidy up and get rid of, you know, any contaminants that have built up, but I don't really want to be having to remove any more swirls than the clay bar might inflict, so I'm just being as careful as possible really. So just pressure washing that all off, and you can see really here the water behaviour hadn't come back completely, but it was definitely more than what had happened with the pre-wash, so again the snow foam's giving it that kind of extra hit before I move on to the contact wash. So here I'm using this shampoo actually, which I picked up in a subscription box because Race Car Box was the box that I picked that up in, so it's just a sample and I've been meaning to get around to using it for a while, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of show a bit of a different product in the video. So it's very, very nice on the paintwork, really slick, plenty of suds, you know, it looks great. Only complaint really is that it's quite expensive, and the recommended dilution ratio is sort of 50ml, which I'm using shampoos like sort of Garage Therapy, Car Chem Super Suds, Built Hamper Auto Wash and things like that are more sort of closer to that kind of 20-30ml, probably more 20ml really, dilution ratio in the bucket, so it just feels like you're using a lot of it, and it is reasonably expensive stuff. However, you know, it was a nice shampoo to use. Probably won't go ahead and buy it just because of the cost, but it was a nice shampoo and I'm glad I've got the sample because it did do a very nice job. It's called sort of a pure shampoo, so it rinses away easily as well. Then I just went ahead and used this really soft GB detailing brush on sort of some of the badges and some of the kind of difficult to reach areas really, around like the lights and around the back as well. So just to kind of give it an extra spritz, I'd sort of dipped the brush into that soap solution of the shampoo, and also just gave it a quick spray with that Valet Pro Citrus just to give it a little bit of a boost when I was actually cleaning these areas. So like kind of going around the rubber seals as well. Not something I always did, to be honest, but I think particularly when there's this much sort of crap on the car, it pays to do these kind of areas and just get everything as clean as possible. I thought, you know, if I'm going to the trouble of making a video and doing all this, then I might as well do that as well. It's sort of good practice, I suppose. And then everything sort of clean now, very happy. I'd just had to power wash everything down, so you can see here that a lot of the water behaviour has come back and is looking a lot better. However, probably not quite to the standard that I wanted it, so I did give it a top up, as you will sort of see in a second really. So what I was actually using here was Bouncer's Bead Juice. So this is a spray and rinse sealant, so things like Giam Wet Coat, it's that kind of family of products. You can actually use this dry on the panels as well, so it's quite a versatile product. It's a good one to have. So what I did is sprayed this on areas where I really just wasn't going to bother sort of going in properly with a detail spray, just being lazy really, but it's these kind of hard to reach areas. And Martin from Obsessive Car Detailer made a really good point when talking about these spray and rinse sealants and saying that they just get everywhere, and it's such a good point about them because you spray them in areas like this with the lights and you think, if I go in with the sort of detail spray and a cloth, am I going to get into all those really hard to reach areas? Probably not, but using this here is really quite effective. So then of course, you know, just going ahead and rinsing things down with low pressure to clear as much water as possible before going in and kind of patting the car dry. So this is just a Rag Company Fluffle, so yeah, doing a decent job. There's not too much water on the surface, so this towel can handle it quite well. So once everything was kind of dry, I moved on to the wheels, and just with a separate microfiber here, nothing too fancy, just to make sure the wheels were dry before I went ahead and started dressing them. So next thing I did was moved on to the tyre dressing. So this is a new one. This was one I actually picked up in a giveaway. so really kind of excited to try this one. So it's called quite a high gloss tyre dressing, and it's a gel. I'd say that it was quite high gloss. It wasn't the glossiest product I've ever tried. I assume you could layer it, but for me the finish was quite nice. I, to be honest, usually use things that are slightly less glossy than that, but it spread on the panel, not on the panel, it spread on the tyres very easily and did a good job. They look very nice afterwards. Then just using a product that I've used quite a few times, to be honest, and this is GB Desailing's Onyx. So it's a tyre and trim dressing. Today just using it on the trim, so all these kind of black areas of plastic, just giving them a bit of a refresh. Then I moved on just to handle the kind of the door jambs. So I actually just used GB Desailing's Silk for this, as it's a really, really good one that you just don't have to buff back. Now it does say to buff it back once you've applied it, but I just find that you don't need to. It's really, really fuss free to apply, so just going ahead with a new microfiber and just giving it a quick spray and just wiping them all down. Gets them looking nice, gets rid of any kind of dirt and dust that's built up. There wasn't too much there to deal with, but leaves a bit of protection behind as well. So final thing really to do here was just to go ahead and apply a bit more protection to the paintwork. So here I am using Garage Therapy's Sigma. So this is sort of a cross between a sealant and a QD spray. So you do have to apply it, leave it to haze. Here I left it around sort of probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because it was a very, very cold day, before just buffing it back with a separate microfiber towel. So I do have a review of this, I would definitely recommend checking this product out, because it just leaves a fantastic finish. You probably see it here and going a bit crazy with a microfiber towel at how kind of slick and slippy the paintwork is after you use it. So the main kind of advantage of that is really that sort of dirt and dust are just not going to stick to it as easily, and that kind of slickness is just going to help with cleaning in the next kind of washes. So I find that it's something, you know, particularly at this time of year, it's very beneficial, but even any time of year, because the finish it leaves in terms of gloss as well is a noticeable increase in gloss, which I can say that a lot of products don't actually offer. This leaves a really, really nice finish. So there was a bit of sun coming out, so I thought, you know, I'll use this one because I can sort of notice a difference here, and it'll be a nice one to use. It also smells absolutely fantastic, but just generally love using this product. It's a really nice one to just top up the sealant I've got underneath. So then I just tidied up the glass. Probably didn't really need doing, they looked fine, but just using this GB Detailing Vitro glass cleaner, or Vitro glass cleaner, and it's just quite high alcohol content, I think, so it flashes off quite easily quite quickly, so it's good in this kind of colder weather as well. So here you can actually see what the car looks like after. You can hopefully see the gloss despite the lighting not being too great here. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, it would be fantastic if you could give it a like. Comment down below if you've got any questions about the products or the process, and subscribe for weekly detailing videos. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.